that I hear that will cause people to delay or put off their home construction project. Can anyone want to take a gander at what that is? And it's not money, interestingly. Well, one, we had a Let's Chat yesterday, and it's about stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, it was on Friday. What to do with all the stuff that you've accumulated over the decades. That's a big hurdle for a lot of people. And two, people know that reality, if you're going to do a major construction project, whether it's a rebuild or a big remodel where you're changing all the floors and the cabinets and the bathroom and the kitchen, you can't stay there. And they just don't know where to stay because they don't want to necessarily stay with relatives, or maybe they don't have relatives to stay with. Where do they stay? And that leads us to today's Let's Chat with Loren Graham. Loren is going to be sharing with us how to manage temporary housing during your construction project. A little bit about Loren. He is the broker in charge and partner of Graham Properties Incorporated, a family-owned real estate firm. Loren was born and raised in Hawaii and is a Kalani High School graduate. He earned his real estate license in 2005. Loren, my gosh, I didn't know it was that long ago. And he has closed more than, get this, $37 million in real estate sales. That is amazing. He lived in Japan for a good amount of time where he really honed in on his fluency in the Japanese language. He also taught English there. And of course, he surfed. I mentioned to many of you earlier, Loren is he's a really good surfer. So he did a lot of surfing there. He's been invited abroad on multiple occasions to give educational seminars on buying. Pardon me, if you see me going up and down, it's because I'm letting people into the room. But he was invited many occasions to give educational seminars, and he identifies this need to bridge the cultural gap to forego miscommunication, misconceptions, and hardships most buyers and sellers face during the transaction. He also has implemented the Aftercare Program, which I think he may speak about a little later, which basically supports new residents here in Hawaii and helps them adjust to our wonderful, beautiful paradise state. He is a volunteer at Na Kamakai, teaching children water safety, surfing, and ocean environmental awareness. And without further ado, I'd like to ask everyone, I know you're all muted, but to put your hands together and clap for Loren. Thank you very much. So Loren, before we get started, can you please tell us a little about what Graham Properties does, what it is?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Bonnie, for that introduction. That was great. Well, Graham Properties is a family-run, a smaller boutique real estate brokerage, but we specialize in sales, property management, both short-term and long-term, and pretty much full service everything. We also help with commercial leases as well.
Oh, wow. So you kind of do it all.
Yeah, pretty much. But more or less, we focus on selling and buying and property management.
Okay, great. About how many properties are you managing now?
I think now we're at 155, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
So you have a good amount of inventory. On those rentals, one of the things that homeowners need when they're doing construction is they need usually maybe 6 to 9 months, a place to stay for 6 or 9 months. Is that something that your company can help with?
Yeah, so what we can do is we can usually point you in the right direction, or if we have anything that's available that'll fit your needs, and we can definitely show it to you. And yeah, usually minimum lease terms are anywhere from 6 months to a year. I know that a lot of realtors try to get a year lease, and but if you only need the home for maybe 6 months or 8 months, you can always negotiate that. And
oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
And then what happens, because sometimes maybe shipping was delayed, or maybe the owner has identified something they want changed at last minute during construction, and their construction project, instead of being 7 months, ends up extending a month or two. Is that something that could work out?
Yeah, so in most leases, in most standardized leases, we have the initial term, the fixed term, let's say it's 6 months, should automatically roll over into a month to month. And from there, once you know when your completion date is, you just give the minimum required 28-day notice and you're off the lease.
So does that mean that it's more clever to take the shortest amount of lease possible and then just go month to month? Or does that
Yeah,
become more expensive?
well, the shortest lease that you could get would be 6 months, because anything
Oh,
shorter than that would fall under a vacation rental. So it'd be considered a short-term lease, and then the owner has to charge a 9.25% transient accommodation tax.
oh, it's like
So
a hotel.
yeah, oh, I'm
I
sorry, it's
see.
actually 10.25 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So that was going to be my other question. Could we do vacation rental? What's the advantage, disadvantage of that? So,
Yeah, vacation rental, the advantage to that is you don't have to bring any of your furniture. It's everything, it should be fully stocked. The disadvantage though, it is a little pricier. But with that said, because of the whole COVID-19 and lack of demand, vacation rentals actually are starting to do long term. I've seen a couple people do long
that's,
term now.
that's
Mhm.
really interesting. Okay, thank you. And you mentioned, I believe that your company does have inventory on both types of rental properties.
Correct. Yep. Mhm.
So short term and
Yeah.
long
So
term. Okay.
our short terms are all located in Waikiki. The laws are that you can only have a short-term or daily rental hotel-like accommodation in places that are zoned in the resort commercial precinct.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mhm. Any
So
other vacation rental has to have at least a minimum of 30 days.
so um those that are doing what are they called? The VBROs or whatever, like in
Yeah.
Kailua and
Mhm.
such, that's not legal?
Yeah, very illegal. Well, as long as they're renting 30 days or more to,
It's
and that's
okay.
it. So if they correct, yeah. If they rent for 30 days or less, they can only rent to one person. So for example, if let's say for the month of April, they rent a vacation rental home to me for 1 week, for the rest of April, they're not allowed to rent to anyone else.
Oh, that's
It's
really
30 day
interesting.
minimum, one person.
I had no idea. Shame on me for not knowing the law better, but thank you for clarifying that. That's really
No, no
interesting.
problem. Mhm.
Okay, so I mean, I know that there may be little differences from company to company, um, but generally speaking, could you walk us through the process of acquiring a temporary home?
Sure. So I can't speak for a lot of other companies, but our company protocol is basically, we would throw our listing on the MLS, and you can access that through HighCentral.com. We try to avoid Craigslist because there's a lot of scams on there. And what they do is they pull our pictures, repost our listing, and try to have people wire money. So never
Oh,
wire money.
oh, Loren, I'm so glad you said that because when I worked for the Hawaiian Humane Society, we had our own rental database and it got to be so cumbersome. And we said, Craigslist is doing it. Let's just send everybody to Craigslist. But maybe I should alert my friends over there that it may not be the best choice for them
Yeah,
to recommend.
HighCentral.com is the MLS, and only realtors who are part of the board of realtors, the Honolulu board of realtors, are allowed to post on there. So that everything is on the up and up, and it's legit. That you're not going to get scammed. So that, and it's always up to date. As realtors or members of the board, we can get fined for not updating our listings on time. We have a 3-day minimum that we need to change all statuses.
Okay,
And
so is the first step then to find a realtor? Is that the first step?
well, actually, so rentals are pretty easy where you can do it on your own, because most realtors aren't compensated for helping find tenant acquisition. And so it's kind of tough. It would be better to do it on your own, and it's not that complicated. You can just go to highcentral.com and check for the rentals. And from there, let's say you schedule a showing and you like it. The next step would be to fill out an application. And usually these applications, they have anywhere from a $20 to a $50 application fee. And what that does is it pulls your credit. It also pulls your eviction history as well as your criminal history, depending on what kind of property you rent. So be prepared for that. That is a non-refundable. So even though you put in the application and they don't pick you, they're probably not going to refund that application fee.
I see. And that's HiCentral.com, correct? No hyphen.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. No hyphen.
I put the website in the chat box, everyone, if you want to copy and paste that. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. All right. So now if somebody wanted to work with you, then they would kind of do the same thing, or they would just go to your website.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, we actually are helping a family that Graham Builders is going to be building with right now. And they actually moved to Germany for a little bit. And in the meantime, you know, their house is just going to be sitting vacant, even though it is going to be demolished. It still is livable. So, you know, we're renting out to, I think we're renting out to a family that just moved here for a little bit. And, you know, as long as we disclosed, hey, you guys can stay maximum maybe 8 months because demolition is going to start, then everyone was fine. So getting back to the process of,
actually, I'm glad you segued there, because that's important too. If there's a way that a family can actually earn money during the downtime, why not, right?
Right, definitely.
I know that on Friday when we met with Steve Tokita, he always encourages people to start right away on clearing out their home and their possessions. So that would be another reason why the family could do that. That's great. Thanks, Loren.
No problem. And so that we assist for, you know, we assist the logistics of that. If you need your house rented out, then we coordinate all the inspectors, the rekeying of the property, the, you know, the cleaners, anything that needs to be kind of taken care of, we'll help you coordinate with that.
Wow, that is a great service. You really do it all. That's great.
Definitely.
Now, you know that I was with the Humane Society for a while, and I got some of my besties have pets. You know, some of them just have like a little dog or a kitty. Another one has a goat, a pig, and a big dog. So Tell me about renting with pets.
So there are obstacles with renting with pets, definitely. It's as long as so if you're renting in condos, sometimes the pet policy is just mandated by the condo association. So there's not much you can do, where they put restrictions on the breeds or the size or the weight of the dog or the cat. The lucky thing is on HighCentral, they do have a pet okay feature that when you can search for if you have pets or not. If it's one pet, then we are not allowed to turn you down if it's a service animal or emotional support animal. Yeah. And
that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair housing?
So, yeah, that's the fair housing laws. Yeah. So we're not allowed to discriminate based on that.
I'm wondering, I have another question about financing the rental, but before that, is it difficult for you to share the screen for HighCentral? I'm thinking that maybe people see it.
Yeah. Okay. So let me pop it up. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. This is it.
There you are.
HighCentral.com. And so, you know, it has for sale, for rent. And so they even have this coming soon, which is actually a new feature on our MLS now. But if you just go to general search, and you can go by neighborhood, street address, you know, if you want to stay in a condo, that's fine too. But let's just call it, let's just say Kailua or something like that.
Okay.
And from here, you can pick your neighborhood, what kind of rental you want, no preference, long-term, short-term, vacation, share. And right here on the pets allowed, it's where you can kind of pick everything. So let's say you want yes for pets, minimum bedrooms 3. And, you know, you can just kind of tweak all of these yourself. Click on search. You know, oh, nothing in Kailua. Wow.
Oh, wow. The rental market is thin.
Yeah.
But it looks very simple to navigate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very, very easy.
And I see that it's actually all islands on the top of the page.
This is actually more or less for the Honolulu area. We do have a couple of people who post things from Maui and Big Island, but more or less it's for Oahu.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So these are the places have that are pet friendly. So yeah,
20
and then starting from
$20,000 a month.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that must be a really nice home.
oh yeah, yeah. Good
Those are the
Lord.
kind of homes that you sell, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, those are the fun ones.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
For me, I have one more question, and then I thought we could open it
Sure.
up to the to our guests here.
Mhm.
One of the factors that people shy away from rentals is they're not sure how they're going to pay for the rental, because they're paying for the construction, and they're thinking, oh, and then there's the design fees and the permit fees and all the other fees that come along with building or remodeling your home. So they're like, I don't know how I'm going to finance this. I've heard, and I don't know if it's an urban legend, but I've heard that you can actually vary the cost of the rental or anticipate the cost of the rental. You can put it into your construction loan or HELOC or something like that. Can you explain that a little more, please?
Right. So I am not a mortgage broker, and so this is just a disclaimer. So I mean, I highly recommend you contact a mortgage broker to find out more. But from my understanding is, as long as you have enough equity in your property, you can kind of wrap that HELOC into your construction loan as well. I'm not exactly sure the logistics or the mechanics of it, but I do know that it is possible, and I've heard of people actually doing that. But it all depends on how much equity you have in your home. So if you just bought your home and and there's no equity, it might be a little tough. Yeah.
I see. Okay. All right. Everyone, I put on the chat box the name of Charlotte. Charlotte is Loren's mother, and I didn't disclaim this. I didn't disclose this earlier, but Charlotte's also married to the owner of Graham Builders. So it's a separate company, but we're all kind of related together. And
Right.
I have Charlotte's information there, and right now I'm also going to put in Loren's information. I have his email address, his office phone number, and his website too. I also put in earlier the HighCentral, so you can go ahead and highlight that as well. So, so with that, I'm sure that people have even more questions than what I asked. So let's open it up to the audience.
Sure.
And everyone except for Loren and I are on mute. So if you're trying to say anything, we can't hear you. Oh, Evan. Evan is with us. Hi, Evan. No questions?
Hi.
Oh, hi. Evan, could you think of any questions that I might have missed?
What happens when, Loren, what happens when people want to rent a place for, let's say it's a year, and then what if the construction schedule gets extended? How do you extend out, like if you need to get a couple more months?
Yeah, just when you sign your lease, you make sure that your lease is fixed and then rolls over to a month-to-month automatically without signing another thing. And then that way, even though your lease expiration were to come up and you needed to extend, it would automatically extend.
I see.
Yeah, and in order for a landlord can't just arbitrarily kick you out. They need to give you by law a minimum of a 45-day notice. So, just when you're coming up to that expiration and the schedule seems that it's gonna be extended, then it's best to contact your landlord and just be like, hey, is it all right if we stay a couple more months? Most times than not, landlords will say okay, because it's more income to them. So
that's right. Especially if you've been a good tenant, right?
Yes. And the way to be a good tenant is to just basically communicate, constantly with your landlord for anything. I highly recommend that you read the landlord tenant code. They do have it online. It's a more simplified version, so you don't really have to know any kind of legalese or anything like that. Let me see if I can find it.
And I'll go ahead and put that in the box as well.
Yeah, alrighty. Okay, I think this is it. it's kind of a lot to read, but here. There we go. Okay, I just
perfect.
put it in the chat.
Thank you,
And
Loren.
feel free to download that. Has a lot of useful information on this, especially about pets, service animals, emotional support animals, security deposits, pet deposits, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Emotional support animals, are they covered as well under the Fair Housing Act? Because
Yes,
I've been hearing conflict. Oh, they are. Okay, I've been hearing conflicting information on that. Okay.
Yeah, it's just for emotional support animals, or for service animals for that matter too, there are not a lot of things that we can do. We can only ask a few questions to, for example, for service animals, as realtors, when we're screening people, you know, it's only one service animal per person. So you can't have 2 service dogs for one person. So, and when we do ask questions, we're not allowed to ask like, you know, what kind of disease do you have, or what kind of this. It's more or less questions on, 3 questions we'll usually ask is this a service animal? What kind of service does the animal provide for you? You know, is it okay if I contact your physician? And most times than not, that, you know, no one really goes to the extremeness of contacting the physician, but you know, our hands are pretty much tied when you say service animal or emotional support animal. So yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you.
But long story short, the more you communicate with your landlord, the better relationship you should have with them.
Because they are going to be your best friend during this project, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions from anyone? Okay, well then, Loren, amazing. You're just so gracious and so generous to share your Sunday with us. Thank you very, very much.
No problem.
Love the experience that you brought to this table is wonderful. I'm going to be, you can see that we're recording this. I'll be pulling together a video in the next week or 2, and I'll have it up on our site. And I'll also try to put it up on the BIA website as well. So everyone, thank you again. Put your hands together if you can unmute and show some love to Mr. Loren Graham.
Thank you.
Thank you.